Hey there, goddess. Before we dive into the next episode, I've got a vital breadcrumb for you. So grab your coffee, your headset, and get a blanket on you because we're about to dive into an extraordinary experience. Are you feeling that you've now entered the marriage season? You might be feeling the cycles of emotional purging coming in more frequently. It's a good sign. It means your single season is coming to an end. I'm about to show you a whole bunch of really cool images, so I'd like you to take them in. Because each of my images I created, they're meant to activate your knower. So look really closely and I want you to feel them fully within. Because this is what will be happening between you and within you if you allow. For my sacred masculines, you'll feel your inner light go on. Now, this is different from your connection to God, Allah, Source, Divine, whatever you resonate with. The light inside that you feel is your sacred partner, that your soul and the divine is guiding you towards. This is your sacred partnership. Now, keep in mind, my masculine hunters who have been or are currently in your single season, I know there are so many goddess feminines for your eyes to feast upon because we really are beautifully delicious in every way. But the one isn't seen with the eyes, but felt within. Goddess beacons, it is now your time to shine your light within and bright. Do not point your light at anyone in particular. Just feel your exquisite bliss of is. If you are truly open, you will feel each other from this higher expression of divine love. So claim a Friday or a Saturday night for yourself and bliss out. Set up your sacred space and open to your bliss within. See if they answer back. You should be able to feel the divine communication between you. This is something you're struggling with? Ooh, have I got something for you. Now listen, the core to this breadcrumb is that you have to heal your heart for you to feel it fully. This is key. If you're feeling pain, how long have you been there? And listen, however long you've been there, it's completely okay. For those of you who are in your season of marriage, that will intensify because you see, you're going to feel the essence of your partner's energy coming around you, and it can feel like a squeeze, and that's uncomfortable. So if you're feeling any pain, emotion, whatever's coming up, it might just be that you are not allowing yourself to swim in the frequency of the divine love that's coming your way. Therefore, you're keeping them away. And again, if that's what you want, that's great. It's okay to guard and protect. Just how long have you been sitting in that season? So if it's not what you want, you don't want to keep love away, I have an invitation. This is your invitation to love mastery. You see, you can't magnetize them to you because you're still holding on to your broken heart. And what you might be feeling is all of that unresolved pain. So I want to help you heal your broken heart for good. I've got a powerful boot camp and it's my free gift to you. It's 3 days and it's live. I first created this method, this 3-step method, as I moved through my season of healing. And every time it brought me back to the bliss within. I was able to bring myself back to the feeling of the light within that you see in my images. That's how I created them. This is literally what I and many of my students feel as they connect to their sacred divine partners. Check it out right now at unionblueprint.com. That's unionblueprint.com. The next one is happening November, right now, and I'll be giving these boot camps monthly only until I'm guided to stop. So you'll want to get in on this. I'm going to give you the blueprint for calling to you the most extraordinary love ever. So you want to make sure that while you're on my website, you also grab your free copy of the Goddess Beacon Journal. You're about to invite in your sacred partner, and guess what? They want to be found by you. because they want the same. Start documenting your journey in true goddess fashion, because this was written by a goddess for the goddess who is ready for the most sacred divine partnership. All right, let's get into that episode. I'm going to title this one, Falling into Deep Soul Love and the Soul Merging. So tell me, how does one tread lightly when falling into soul love? Wise words indeed that my best friend shared with me. However, soul love does not tread lightly. It was around Halloween that I had blurted out my attraction for this man, and I can tell you, as I walked around the community with my son and his best bud as they ran from house to house, inside I felt cozy and warm. For the first time in my life, I felt that I may have met someone that I could experience family with, to build a real family with, and for the rest of my life, and I'm going to say it. I seriously, within every fiber of my being, I felt that I had indeed met my person. So the next time that we were in the office together, those romantic feelings, I pushed them aside because within me, my rational mind took over. And so when he came to my cubicle and he had asked for a moment of my time, sure, I said, but hesitantly. I felt embarrassed. I felt embarrassed because of what I had said to him in my confessions of having the attraction. Embarrassed because, gosh, I really liked and respected him. And when he called me in, my defenses were up and my little girl came out. I thought I was in trouble, thinking that maybe he had changed his mind and that I had been foolish. And I will admit, I didn't really hear him fully when he first spoke, as I was so wrapped up in how I was feeling. And as an empath, one of my ways of running to avoid one of my defenses is to leave my body so that I'm not fully present. And so therefore, I couldn't take in all that he had to say, as I was sitting in fear of my feelings for this married man who was also my boss, not to mention quite a few other massive obstacles that were surrounding us like pieces on a chessboard, and they were all closing in. I was only seeing his huge obstacles, naively thinking that I had none of my own. So I'll do my best to remember his kind words that he spoke, and I believe it went something like this. Deidre, now I've got something to say. I want you to know that we're good. I meant what I said, and I would like to have further conversations about us. Gosh, I hope I got that right because I don't have the details in my journal and I'm going by memory, okay? I have no idea what reaction I had on my face, but as he spoke, so gently and softly, and seeing his kind eyes, all fears dropped away. I softened and I opened. It's like his essence, his voice, and his eyes were inviting me to be there with him. I allowed his strong voice to settle into my psyche, as he has this way of grounding me with his words and his voice, and I always feel so safe when with him. Now, I do vaguely remember then reciting my stance on not wanting to have an affair. You see, even now in my throat, right? Not wanting to have an affair. As this is something I've never, ever, ever done before. Falling for my boss, falling for a married man, all of this is crazy nonsense. So I wanted to stand in my goddess stance, and I think I was by the time the conversation was over. Well, one, because of his stance, and he tends to bring out the goddess in me, and two, I like to be in control. I'm pretty sure that this is when I made the point to add the following statement for good measure. I'm looking for a fully committed partnership. Okay, like I wanted to make sure that I had stated it, and there was a knock at the door. The boardroom was needed by another team member, so with a mutually satisfied smile, we parted from there. Now, his office is quite close to my space where I work, and although he spent a lot of time in meetings, wherever he was, I could feel him. Now, when you fall in love, you are indeed falling. That is the bliss, and you don't want it to stop. Being in love has a different feeling from full-blown love. Being in love is light and giddy. It's the excitement of the anticipation of what could happen, but not quite knowing what will happen. It's mutual. You get zinged back and forth with little confirmations, a knowing glance, an invitation to connect, words of wanting shared. And every time I would connect with this man, I would fall just that little bit deeper, just a little bit more, as he continually showed me who he was, the thoughtful words he took the time to convey, and especially how he spoke with every member of the team with such respect and understanding, even when he rose his voice in disagreement against some of these strong egos we had in the office. Yes, I was beginning to admire him. Now, fast forward. I had mentioned to him, I can't remember exactly when, but that he's not my typical type. But what I truly meant by that was that for the first time in my life, I had met my match. The match that you meet in a mate that challenges you to become your best version, that kind of match. I had experienced this in small ways in other partners, but I was not satisfied, obviously, or else I would have settled down with them. They couldn't keep up with me, to be honest. I get bored very easily, and I like stimulation in conversation, in food, travel, lovemaking, and I will find any experience that allows me to expand, to become more within myself. Now, truthfully, most individuals, they like to stay where they are. There's that really comfortable comfort zone. That's not me. No. But that was most of my partnerships, and that's why a lot of them fizzled out. There's nothing wrong with experiencing the comfort zone. It's just that for me, I just always want to reach for that expanding comfort in each area of my life. That's how I've been very successful in all of the things that I've ever accomplished. So I'm going to get really clear, and I'm going to try and repeat this as many times as I can through my podcast so that you clearly understand that when you have met someone with whom your soul loves, it's different. It's not an obsession. I wasn't secretly hoping that he liked me or that he wanted me or that he felt the same. He showed me. He told me. Not to mention that energetically, I was feeling him. And so every moment I was feeling him more and more and more. And I love that. I love that. And I still love, and I feel my partner all the time. But in those beginning stages, it was like, again, that warm blanket that was coming around. The only thing is that more and more, I was also feeling some other stuff that wasn't so pleasant. Journal entry. On Sunday, I woke up and felt emotion and heartbroken. Well, today in conversation, my partner confessed to having one of his many reoccurring arguments with his wife. There were tears, etc. Well, geez, I was beginning to feel him so deeply that I was starting to feel this stuff. And this is the other part that I find really interesting, is that it all felt natural. Nowhere in my journal entries did I say, this is so strange, or this is just so weird. It all felt natural. I didn't fight it. I just accepted it like it was, like it is. Now, of course, there was the irrational side of me that was asking questions, and I have many pages of logic renditions regarding dating a man in separation or going through a divorce, etc., because I knew the slippery slope that I was about to go on from all of my studies and, of course, working with couples in my first practice. Did that stop all the sexiness that I was experiencing and feeling more and more as I laid in bed at night? Heck no. Oh my gosh, I was starting to feel him in ways that are seriously so hard to describe. They were so gosh dang vivid and real. Like I could feel his presence as a dense energy that would come next to me, wanting to be on my skin, but really wanting to merge with me. And I would have heat swirling in my root chakra and then around my body. And I began feeling tingles on my skin like he was touching me. And I could feel it on my lips. And this would go on for hours. And I was getting very little sleep. That did not matter. Okay. Because in the mornings, I would bounce out of bed. I would greet my kid with a big, huge smile. I'd get him off to school. And then with the most excited feelings, I would get off to work. The excitement of seeing him, of hearing his voice, it would just ripple throughout me, and I couldn't get there fast enough. Now, during the day, I was continually seeing how well we worked together, and it was fun. Oh my gosh, and there was so much laughter, and we always seemed to be on the same page with each other and work. Even though sometimes we disagreed, we worked it out. A deep, respectful bond was forming, along, of course, with some flirty banter. But at this point, I want to really reiterate, it was very innocent. We were still getting to know each other in the physical world. A friendship was forming even deeper, which only increased the level of in-love feelings, because that's where in-love comes from. I was swimming in them, especially when hearing his voice. It was like music to my heart and soul that felt like with each word, each sigh, he has this chuckle. It was like he would strum a chord throughout the core of me, and it would send a vibration throughout my entire flute, and I could feel it in all of my chakras. Oh my gosh, the warmth that that man could stir within me. And when we were together, it was like being drunk. Like I had just had the finest glass of warm love wine. My senses were so heightened, and they were beginning to intensify daily, that when he was away from the office, I would feel these stirrings in my root chakra while I worked on spreadsheets. Oh my gosh, I would have to play music in my ears because I was feeling all hot in my yoni, like literal heat. And it would come over as pulsations out of the blue, and randomly, I could feel him all over me. So now what was happening at night was starting to happen during the day. Oh my gosh, journal entry. We are in deep like with each other. We're having conversations, heavy in emotions, but I am allowing these feelings to be what they are between us, and I'm just going to ride them. Confessions of thinking about a future us have been on both our minds. I feel calm and know that there is a plan. The universe loves and supports me. And I continued with, when he's in his emotions, they wash over me in huge waves. As we sat in his office one afternoon, he clenched his hands together so tight. As he looked at me, I could feel he had so much to say, and I told him so. He wanted to share so much with me, and it looked like it was just bubbling up, like it was right there. The words were right there. And then this inner struggle that he clearly faces would take over. And then I would feel fear and then pain, and then I would see these emotions flash upon his face. And then he would hold his lips so tight that those beautiful, once full red lips that I absolutely adore and want to kiss, and I still haven't to this day, they would be a thin sliver of white as he held back all of the words he wanted to say. Now, I know this just from future confessions and what have you, that it was actually him holding back. It was taking every fiber of strength within him not to touch me, not to do all of the things that he just so wanted to experience with me. Now, in my journal, the goddess in me was writing more and more about how the feminine is the gift, and how this queen, being me, must be shown over and over until convinced that her king has indeed arrived. So I kept reminding myself that I want a full-on love, and I have no interest in sharing, and that I am too gosh dang amazing to be loved in secret. And if I was looking for something easy, I would not have chosen someone like him. I'm looking for something serious. And then I would repeat again for good measure in my journal, all in caps, I am looking for something serious, exclamation, exclamation. Now, seriously, if I was really serious, I would have written the following. I am all about being in something serious. I wasn't looking. Do you see the difference in the language there? It was already in front of me. So in true goddess fashion, I would be in the experience of having it, not wanting or waiting for it. All right, so now that we had built the trust, And our friendship, it was opening us so beautifully that we really, at this time, we were letting each other in. And that's when the miraculous merging happened. It was in the first eye gazing that seriously, it blew us both wide open. And I will try and attempt to convey this most exquisite, soul expanding experience. We were alone in the boardroom. And as we looked into each other's eyes, and it was in total surrender, our bodies completely disappeared. But we were still there. And all of the physical world that was around us, it completely dropped away. And all I could sense and see was open space, like space. And then I realized that we were this space, and that this space was us pulsating in love and bliss. It was all us. And at first the pulsations would come in gentle, and then they would increase intense density that would become this huge, huge wave of expanded love that would go on forever, like the size of the universe, but it was condensed down into just our two bodies. I could feel myself disappear inside of him, and he was disappearing inside of me with every heartbeat. Oh my God, it was so cosmic. And I'll confess, I was the first one to look away. It was too much for me, and I would cut the expansive connection as I could only see his huge obstacles, and out of fear, no, I couldn't let him in. Nope, not all the way. But my soul did not care about my fear. And so each and every time that we were alone and we had these moments together, it would happen. And this happened many, many, many times. We had one moment where we were standing in the middle of a hallway, okay, out in public. And it was like we were frozen in space, and we were having an intense vibrational soul exchange. It was incredible. It was I can't even describe. Words just can't describe. That's when you know you're in something that's very magical and divine. Now, when I say that my soul didn't care, it's because, well, my soul wants me to have this alchemical transformation. It wants both of us to have this. So it's not about our boundaries, our limitations, our fears, or any of that. It's about us growing and expanding. And I'm going to tell you, every time that we were together, the pull, oh my gosh, the pull to be together, it was so intense. It was like literally like two magnets, and it took everything in us not to cross any lines. Okay? But, I'm going to tell you, we both knew that this wasn't the right time. All right, one weekend, I woke up to feeling warmth in my heart as I thought of him. And then it changed to emotion. And then it kept increasing into heavy emotion. And then once I was in the shower, my heart was hurting. Like my heart was breaking. And I wanted to weep, so I did, but there were no tears. Again, these feelings were not mine, they were his. And the rest of the day, I was in between this feeling of being numb, flitters of warmth, and flitters of pain. And then I finally was able to get out of that, and I could get on with my weekend, but I was feeling it more intensely. So more and more, I was seeing my twin coming into work with bags under his eyes, and they were from intense crying and lack of sleep. And I was feeling more and more of his emotions wash over me, especially the weekends that he was at home. Now, truthfully, I had no business giving this man any more of my time or attention. I could feel this bubble up inside of me as I could feel his internal struggle. But I too hid in my own wounds, and I allowed my feelings to grow for him, but also because my soul and my heart, they seemed to be doing their own thing beyond what my rational mind was like, bee-boo, 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 like blaring at me, to look at. a divine connection like this, it changes everything. This is when my intuition messages started to come in. Like I wrote in my journal, things are shifting. The universe is aligning it all. The wheels are in motion and all will be revealed shortly. You know, it's so bleeping cool to look back and see how the guidance was starting to appear. I never wrote like this before. This was brand new for me. Now, there's something else I want to dive just a little bit further into to explain that I'm really excited that I got to experience during this part of our journey. There was another big expansion that was happening within me. My sexual goddess was really beginning to take shape. I was opening. My goddess was blossoming in newly found sacred sexuality. And I just felt so incredibly different. It was so incredibly different than anything I had ever felt. Something was shifting in me, and massively, as I could feel my whole body was lit, like awake. I was feeling sensations and experiences I hadn't ever felt before, and so intensely as, like, even if I just touched my skin, like the skin on my arm, it tingled extra sensitive, like with prickles. And in Tantra, I call this the exquisite bliss of is. Everything was beginning to heighten. You know, I thought I knew pleasure before, but no, I wasn't really in my body before. Now, this was going to be one of my first big healings that I had to face, that I was beginning to face. The lovers and the partners that I had, well, I began to look at how I made love to them and how I made love with them, because I was now seeing that lovers together create a symphony, like a beautiful symphony. I was experiencing it. Now, I knew this before, but what I was experiencing, this was different. Because you see, now this partner that I had, this energetic energy that was around me, had become a constant companion. And he was with me in every one of these new experienced sexual expressions. We were becoming one. And I was experiencing true union sexually. This was big and beautiful, very healing for me as I began to look at the way that I made love to myself and how I wanted to share my vessel, my heart, and my precious yoni. Now my yoni, it was burning with a fire that I'd never felt before, and I wanted to share myself with my future partner in a very special way. I was becoming a new lover, a lover I had not been before. And these orgasms that I was feeling, they were more intense and most pleasurable, and each and every time it was better than the last. And all being experienced with this new lover that I was experiencing inside of myself. So everything and every lover from my past, it was beginning to dull in comparison. And that's no disrespect to any of my past lovers, but I really had to ask myself, had I really loved before? So as I could see and feel at this love, it was opening me. And it was opening a newfound state of being that was so deeply moving, there was no way that I was going to let this go. So let's just step back a bit, okay? Now, while I was feeling this amazing goddess energy and I was in my own blossoming, okay, I was also feeling my insecurities full blown, and they were attacking with vengeance. So again, back to being rational. I would go into the, oh my God, I'm so in love, to the, okay, wait a minute, slow down, like he's married and we've got to be rational about this. Okay. So of course, my journal is continuing to be filled with, of course, the knowledge and the research on dating, separated, married, blah, blah, blah. Can I just tell you, it's so funny because I have one section of my journal where I wrote it very detailed about what to look for and the questions and what I wanted to ask myself. And at that point, I was thinking, he's separated and how I'm going to handle that. Well, this is really interesting, but do you see how quickly my ego mind jumped to him moving into that direction of separation, even though he had not officially physically completed that action for himself? I was already there, and I was allowing myself to live there, and I took it as truth even though he hadn't actually done it. My journal entry. The journey of divorce is an emotional roller coaster, and the person going through it may be looking for a soft place to land. So decide if this is what you want. He may indeed tick every gosh dang box I have on my list of, oh, yummy, yes, I want that. And he may even be intensely interested in a relationship with you right now. But remember, and I want you to keep this in mind, I wrote to myself, because he's experiencing disruption and confusion, what he may want once the divorce is over may be something entirely different. Now, I knew I didn't want to be the transition piece, and I told him this. There is a bridge that he will need to cross, and he must do this on his own. I will meet you on the other side if it is meant to be, I told him. Now, I knew all of this from my studies and training. You see, I know this, but did I heed my own knowledge and words? No. My heart and soul were coming online stronger and stronger than before, and my logical mind was being left behind. We began calling each other in the mornings. So on my way to work after I dropped my son to school, excitement would fill me as we began to have one of those comfort moments as we both were on the road heading to our destinations. We were beginning to start our day with each other. Sometimes the conversations would then pick up again in the office, and during these times, I would then move my laptop and other paperwork into his office so that we could talk in private. I had mentioned to others it was because I needed quiet and privacy, but truthfully, I think others could suspect our blossoming love for each other. We had indeed called each other into our lives with a big love on the table, and it was going to be up to us on how we each would navigate our way through. Navigate through a connection neither of us expected. At this point, we'd only known each other for 5 months. Journal entry. Anything is possible. To live in this place of possibility, opportunity, delicious experience, just let things unfold, D. Blossom and let them be as they are. Bask in it and enjoy it. Don't have an outcome. You see what I mean about going back into your journal? Because then you can see all of these powerful words that you are and that you're showing yourself, right? And it's so amazingly healing. And they just always lead you back to yourself. So I really highly recommend to do this exercise, to go back, even though you'll be triggered and you'll do a lot of healing. And I did a lot of crying. That's why it took me a bit to get this podcast out, but do it. It's beautiful. Now, it was during this time, this is when my work partnership with that person I had mentioned in the last episode that would turn into a friendship, I'm going to give him the pseudonym of Matthew, as he was like a guardian to my path. And as always, I love hearing love stories. Hello, I am a relationship and intimacy coach, and I can't get enough of love, especially special loves like what he and his wife, and I'm going to name her Sabrina, like the love that they have and that I knew that I could feel at that time. Matthew shared with me that he'd been with his wife 14 years at that point, that he had never been married before, that she had been married for 10 years before. He confessed that she was still married when they met. But that didn't stop the attraction, but it did stop him from making any moves while he and she worked together. Sound familiar? He said that he knew she was special the moment he met her. They had one night alone at a company gathering at a local pub. While everyone was chatting over the pool tables, they decided to sit alone, and they were talking for hours at a booth. Still, no moves were made. Months later, chance had it that a new opportunity at another company came through, and he jumped at it. It was on his last day before he walked out that he called her to meet him down in the lobby. There is where he declared his intentions, and he told her of his interest. And he gave her his phone number for when she was available and single, as in their conversation at the pub that night, she had confessed to living in separate parts of the house with her husband. They were not together, only living as roommates. I feel in his own way, he had made the same bold statement to his now wife that he wanted all of her. So it would be up to her to connect with him if and when she was ready for something serious. He confessed that even he was surprised when she connected with him about a week or so later and asked him out for coffee. Now, he said that coffee date lasted something like 7 hours, he said. And from then on, they were inseparable. She moved out, she got a divorce, and it was a year later that they moved in together. 7 years later, they were married, and he admits with a total blissful smile and a glint in his eye that she is indeed the love of his life. Now, I was beginning to love how the divine was placing people before me on my path that were facing something similar to what I was now experiencing. So as I continued to live in the potential of what it could be in my world with my divine connection, we were diving deeper into our shared feelings for each other. And my goddess was beginning to be tested on how strong she really was within me. And when my twin and I were alone, I would begin to show my goddess, like my powerful goddess. She would come to the forefront, and I would sit before him as a queen. I would look directly into his warm eyes, and I would not look away, not now. And I would feel my essence expand within and out. Journal entry. Oh my gosh, I am so exhausted. Last night, we talked from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. We talked about everything, everything, what we see in each other, compliments back and forth, him appreciating aspects of my personality and character while I spoke of how comfortable all of this seemed. It was just so easy to talk with him and be with him, and he agreed and he expressed how much he loved it. And as the hours ticked on, it did not matter, as all we both felt was total potential. It was so thick around us like pea soup, and again, that warm, fuzzy blanket. This conversation had solidified his feelings for me and the us that we both had been fantasizing about and trying out in our own respective lives. And it was very obvious that we both wanted to dive deeper into each other, not just as lovers, but as potential lifelong partners. He was having visions of us together, and he literally was imagining me at his dinner table with him having dinner, while I imagined him beside me in the kitchen cooking. We didn't want to let each other go, and we told each other so. We had indeed allowed ourselves to fall in love. In the following days, we had a big moment in the office, and this was really big. We were totally connected. Eyes, hearts, mind, spirit. I could feel and see the love in his face. And as he spoke, my heart and my soul completely opened up to the truth. "I want to commit to you now," he exclaimed. "Don't tease me," I said, thinking he was half joking, but really knowing that he was serious. "I'm not," he continued. "I just want to be fully committed to you." "Oh, slow down," we both said at the same time. This man enhances my life. And by this time in our connection, I was learning very quickly that I am a better version of myself just by knowing him and being with him. He is a king. He is masculine, he's soft, he's loyal, he's loving, he's soulful, he's brilliant, he's sexy, he's wise. He's such a good father, he's such a good man, and he's clean, and oh my God, he smells good. He's articulate, he's self-aware, he's strong, he's funny. I could go on and on and on. And at this point in our journey, I was thanking the universe for our meeting. I was indeed truly in love, and this is when I started to feel those first pangs of longing. So again, I would start putting up rational entries into my journal, not allowing myself to really go there, reminding myself that I wanted a commitment. Wow. Fast forward a few more days, maybe a week. This future of a commitment would have to wait. As you see, he wasn't quite finished with his current commitment of marriage. More and more emotions I would feel wash over me from him. He was going through hell, to put it mildly. I even wrote in one entry, I think all of these emotions are his. I need to master his emotions from mine as I am feeling a roller coaster inside that is taking me places I have no need to go. And then it happened. One night I felt him pull away, and throughout the night I felt the shift between us. After I dropped my awesome kid to school, our typical excitement of our morning traffic chat had changed, and it became a sinking feeling. The parking had been changed up that morning in the office, so I had to find somewhere else to park. And I pulled up beside this awesome tree, and that's when I decided to call him. This time, however, I was fully present within myself, feeling all the love that I had for him and all the love that I was. So every word that he spoke cut into my very soul. I have no entries for this as it was so painful, so I'll do my best to remember. He spoke and I listened. He had announced that he was leaving to his wife. This was the opening that both of them obviously needed to see how much they really wanted to work on things. I'm thinking she promised to be the woman he wanted, and he promised to be the man that she wanted, and that all their years of marriage shouldn't just be thrown away without them trying. But I'm going to tell you, as a sacred union coach, this is what I hope the conversation sounded like and felt like for him to run back into his so obviously struggling marriage so quickly. And also because now I have that incredible 2020 vision, right? So I had the great honor of loving this man through my heart and soul these last years, and of being loved by this incredible man through my heart and soul. So I know what he's capable of, and I know how amazing he really is. So I'm really hoping that his wife said the following to him. So when he announced that he was leaving, I'm hoping she said, "Oh, no, there is no way in heck that I'm letting you go, you marvelous creature. I know the love that you are, and I know the kind of person you are, and there's no way that I'm letting you get away that easy. Whatever you need, let's do it, because I want to do it with you. You want that? I'll give it to you, and I would like this. Could you meet me? Good, let's do this." Because you see, that's what I would have said. But really, I was in shock. And I was in so much pain that all I could say was, okay, as I could feel how much he wanted to do this with her. And I said so. We'll need to stop whatever this is, I said. Affairs are catalysts. They will either show you that what you already have is all that you need, and it will light the fire within the two of you, or the affair will show you that the fire has gone out and it's time to leave. You're handling this so maturely, he said. But inside, I was screaming. My heart was broken, like very, very, very broken. But emotionally, I was riding his roller coaster with him, so really, I kind of knew what was coming, as I could feel all of his back and forth within me, but still, I was wounded. You know, within 2 weeks, he was declaring a vision of a life with me and wanting to fully commit to now declaring that he would repair and stay where he was instead. This was when my goddess broke, and my wounded little 7-year-old came to the forefront. And after we got off the phone, I cried. And I cried as I looked at that magnificent tree I had parked beside. But not too much, you see, because I couldn't ruin my mascara as I still needed to show my face at the office. I had to pretend that everything was okay. I remember going through that morning feeling quite numb. If we hadn't worked together so closely, it would have been easier on me. But that inevitable project call had to come in, and we needed to talk out all of our business stuff. I wanted to get off the call and was intentionally closing myself off and becoming cold, while he was trying to be cute and playful, trying to soften things between us. I then said, "You need to let me go. I've got things to do." He replied, in a strong, deep voice, what if I don't want to let you go? That's when my goddess came up and said, then don't. After this sudden turn of events, that yes, okay, I will admit, I really didn't fully expect, as my 3D self was coming to terms with his decision, that didn't stop the alchemical transformation in our connection. It was about to increase tenfold. And that became really confusing for me. Before you go and label him the bad guy, he's not. He had to clean up what he had with his current partner. You see, I knew the risks, guys, and I took them. So in love, we are constantly learning. And in this love, in this divine love, trust is the most amazing part of this. You see, because I hadn't experienced this love that I was now experiencing. And I had to learn eventually that it's actually not about him. It's actually all about me. So in my podcast, it's my mission to share with you what a true divine connection experience kind of looks like and feels like. And of course, that's through my perspective. But along the way, I'm also going to share with you my healings. You see, infidelity, being in an affair, is a form of self-neglect. It was one of the ways that I neglected my dreams and what I really wanted to experience in a committed partnership. In an affair, none of the people involved, even the unsuspecting spouse, and come on, let's get real, they're never unsuspecting. They know. Everybody knows. No one is truly giving themselves everything they desire in the ultimate partnership, and it's always due to a lack of worthiness, unmet desires, lack of communication about these unmet desires. I could go on. As most of us, if not all of us, fear that we won't be able to find all that we wish to experience within one partner. Why? Because we have not found it within ourselves. So you got to know yourself so well so that when you have someone that is presented in front of you, you know without a shadow of a doubt that they are just not for you or they are for you. So if you're going through something like this, if you're in an emotional affair and you find that it's not where you're wanting to go, it's not what you're wanting to experience, and you're wanting a fully committed partnership, this is where I can really help you. I would love to work with you. Let's get you off of that repeating cycle of self-neglect. Don't do me. Don't do this. I did it for, I was supposed to. Okay, the journey that I was on, it was supposed to happen this way. But if you've come to a place in your journey where you're like, yeah, I can't do this anymore, let's connect. Please feel free to comment down below and share whatever you'd like to share. We're a community here. Now, if you have any questions about love, it doesn't have to be twin flames, soulmate, partnership. This is what I do, guys. Let me know in the comments.